Me and the biz. So this morning, around 8 o'clock, I had this thought. I thought to myself, what would I have to do, or how would I have to feel to have a business like Louis Vuitton? And to give that more depth, what I mean is, what would I have to do, or what framework would I have to carry to be able to feel comfortable to just price the things that I make based solely on what I wanted to make from the item, and not do what I normally do, which is like worry and get a little bit anxious that I might be going into a pricing tier that's just a little too high. So to give this some context, yesterday I was thinking, I was doing research, and I was thinking about how much I would have to, if I wanted to make some homeware things, if I wanted to make, the actual thing I was looking at were coasters. If I wanted to bring coasters into my range, how much would I have to cost them at? And to give you even more context, yesterday marked a day and a half into my putting a new illustration up in the online store. I put my Mona up, and I was trying to figure out what products I wanted to have in, sorry, not my online store, in my gift shop on Society 6. And I was trying to figure out, because you can put your stuff on loads of things. So I was trying to figure out, like, what do I want to actually have my artwork on, rather than doing everything, just to concentrate on a few items that made sense. And as I was uploading and then re-uploading because the sizes were a problem or the resolution was a problem, I was looking at coasters quite a bit, and I started to fall in love with the way that my design looked on the coasters. And I had never thought about, you know, selling coasters before. I don't even use coasters here. Like, there's no coasters in my yard. I like the things that I design are things that I actually use and are functional to my everyday. I don't have coasters here. It's not that I wouldn't use them. I've never thought about buying coasters. But the more I've looked at coasters over the last day and a half, I'm like, I should get me some coasters. And I love the way my design looks on the coasters, like how I've positioned it on the coasters. And so that kind of got me thinking, like, I want to do more homeware, and what could I sell that I could ship from the studio here. And coasters are a great size because um, I've got like fancy boxes up there. I'm looking up there because that's where my fancy boxes are. Oh, if you can hear a noise in the background, it's my fan. It's cold in here, the fan's on. So yeah, I've got fancy boxes up there, and I could definitely put coasters into a fancy box. So I was thinking, yeah, that's a really good product. So what I do when I get this kind of bug about bringing something new in, I have a bit of a process. I go online and I search for the most expensive of the item that I'm thinking of doing, and that kind of makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about putting a higher price on the thing that I want to make. Because that is a definite barrier, especially when you're the artist. When you make your own products and you're the artist behind the product or the maker, the detail and the attention that you put into, like, is the what company should I use to print the artwork onto the thing? Is the quality going to be good? Are they going to be able to print my shade of black? What are the finishing details on this? That there's a lot of process that goes into that. And then when you jump out of that mode and you go into like business mode and you're costing it, you're trying to figure out, well, how much do I have to price it, because you've got other additional costs. So you've got like wholesale costs, like how much you've got to pay for it to be manufactured, and then you've got like overheads, and you've got labor costs, you've got packaging costs, you've got the cost of postage. There's all these different contributing factors, and then you've got to think about profit. And that's where I kind of get a bit bungled up. I get these butterflies in my stomach because the numbers are getting higher and higher, and I have this fear that the product that I want to make, I'm going to price myself out of the market. And also, I have a fear that if I slap a high price on something, it wouldn't necessarily be deemed as like I feel it's gonna like I feel like the cost of the item will be questioned. So for example, we like as a society we tend to think of like premium materials such as like silk and wood as being high priced things and gold and silver. But so things like plastic and maybe even like MDF, it's not really premium in our society. We don't look at it like that. And that's not the best way to look at it as a business, because you shouldn't be costing your things based on the material that you're using. You should be costing it based on the labor that it took and also the value that it's going to bring someone else. But I still have this trouble. So I went online and I looked for the most expensive coasters, and I found a few. So I went to Louis Vuitton. I went to the top, and Louis Vuitton has a set of coasters, and they have this leather case that they put the coasters in, like a holder, and that's got the monogram. And then the actual coasters, I can't remember what the coasters are made from. It looks like some form of plastic, but it's got the word Louis Vuitton in the middle. And then it just has text of different cities that you can find Louis Vuitton stores in, which I think is very, very strange. There's four coasters, and you can Google the price if you don't believe me what I'm about to say. Their coaster set is £490. So that immediately made alleviated some of the anxiety around costing too high. Then I went to Gucci, and Gucci does 12 coasters for £95, which you might think is pretty decent in comparison to Louis Vuitton. But their coasters are made out of paperboard, which from my research, because I was like, let me make sure I understand what paperboard is. And I went on, and paperboard is the stuff that companies make the bear coasters out of. So when you go to the pub or a bar and you see that kind of hard, that looks like cardboard, that's what they're selling. Paperboard, 12 for £95. Again, that made me feel good. Today, actually, a few hours ago, I found another company, and I don't know how to pronounce the name, but they're definitely French. They have a set of four coasters made out of acrylic, and it's kind of the concept behind the design is kind of like perfect geometric kind of like premium design, sort of like straight lines, clean edges, and it's got waves in it, and it's cute, but it's acrylic, which essentially is plastic. £175 for four. I did find one designer, and I'm blanking on the name, and the way that designer had chosen to make their placemats very closely matched how I'm thinking of doing mine. So it was wooden, has a wooden base. It's been digitally printed onto another material, and a material's been applied. When I say material, some form of paper, which has been glossed and applied to wood. And that company's selling for £48. So those are the higher ends, right? I was also looking at trays, like serving trays, because I'm trying to think about other at-home products that my designs, would work well on. And I was looking at serving trays. I am a big tray user. I actually need more trays. Trays make sense to me. And the most expensive tray I found, again, I'm blanking on the name of the company. Most expensive tray I found was made out of wood and was digitally printed in the same manner that the designer with the wood coasters had. So it has a wood base, and then it's printed and then applied onto the wood. Essentially, it's just wood. It's a wooden tray. £900. So I felt better about it. I felt better. I was like, okay, and I think that's a good practice to do. But the nervousness around pricing things is basically because I don't know anyone who would pay that high amount for a coaster or a tray, and B, I'm not paying that amount. But again, I'm not my ideal customer, in terms of my like um my style or my style of decor or my aesthetic, yes. But in terms of like income, no. This is and another thing that I have to remember and remind myself is that a coaster or a tray is not really just a coaster or a tray, right? You're not paying for a tray for £900. You're not paying for a coaster for £175. You're paying for how that item works with your space, the opportunity you have to take your aesthetic and put it into your home. You're paying for joy. It's not a coaster, it's joy. And those are all things that I have to remind myself of. And but I was thinking like if I ran my business, or if my business was like Louis Vuitton, I would just price according to what I need it to be, with like no anxiety. It would just be as much as it is, and I would just be like, that's what it is. But you know, Louis Vuitton has, you know, over 100 years of positioning themselves and growing themselves in the market as being a premium brand. They've got brand loyalty. They have all the things. So them pricing something at £490 and me pricing something at £490 is a little bit different. Also, their garments go like a price into their thousands. So it might be that some part of their like homewares they see as a gateway product. So it's sort of like if you can't buy into our fashions, you can still carry something of us in your home, but it's going to cost you almost 500 quid. You know what I mean? But there is anxiety around it. There is. And for me, just the cost of getting the coaster printed is expensive. Anything I do printed is expensive. Um, and I saw a leather option, which I thought was quite. I thought the leather option was interesting when I first found it. I was like, why would you have a leather coaster? I mean, it's leather, and leather really is not designed to get wet. And even how they tell you to take care of the leather coaster never made any sense to me, because when you need a coaster to give you the opportunity to get it wet, right? You need to wipe it down. But as the hours went on yesterday, I slowly started to fall in love with the idea of a leather coaster, because I thought, no, for me, it's not functional. But that's just a nice little aesthetic, a nice little touch to a whole idea for a home. And I was like, it's nice, it's nice. But even to get that one leather item printed, just to get it printed, even before I put my costs on top, just to get it printed, it starts at £19. And the wooden option starts at 12. So it's already high. So I know I've got to go high with this. And I was just thinking, like, if my business was like Louis Vuitton, I'd just price it and I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it at all. But I guess what I have to do is I have to keep in mind that, again, a coaster is not a coaster and a tray is not a tray. And the things that I make, you don't normally see, like Mona. Mona is a Afro-haired Caribbean queen, right? You don't see that on dinnerware, on tableware, on bone china. You don't see that on, you know, things that are more opulent, and you should, but you don't. And so what I'm really doing is giving people the opportunity to have something they can connect with, either on a cultural level, on a social level, or on, you know, just based on the color of their skin. They've got something. Or even if they're just creative and they just love that style that I do, I'm just giving them an opportunity to have something that connects them with their inner smile. So I guess I could have a business like Louis Vuitton if I decided that I was just going to price my products with ease and just, it is what it is, and then give people the opportunity to decide if they want to buy in on it. Still not sure if coasters in leather is really my thing. I like it, but I haven't quite found a manufacturer who makes them in a way that works with my design. Probably going to stick with wood. But that was my thought earlier today, and I think it's just a mind frame. I just have to change my mind frame around it and just make beautiful things and have fun, because having a business is fun. And as long as I remember that, I'm just playing and having fun. I think if I keep that in mind, it can help me move forward from the butterflies of feeling like, ugh, am I pricing myself out? Take care.